in hotel design, destination, spirit, experience, and function. Again, we have a striking top session. Gökhan Avcıoğlu is the moderator, GAD Architecture Foundation founder. And Bilgili Holding board member
Levent, Abay geliyor.
And head of project development and construction management, Levent, Abay. Space Architects and Designers founder, Kaan, Çetinkaya. Autoban co-founder and head of design, Seyhan, Özdemir, Sarper. So the floor is yours. Welcome. Welcome. We are people who do work in the field of tourism. Levent Bey is on the investment and operational side. Kaan Bey is on the design and development side. So is Seyhan Hanım. So, in fact, we're part of the sector. We're constantly moving in the sector. So, together with the investor side, how do we act when it comes to creation? What is our main topic? And how do we create added value around that? That's what we look at. And we do this in collaboration. I have a brief presentation about tourism to begin with. I had a presentation. We have a preliminary presentation. Why tourism? Maybe that's what I'll ask. Well, for one thing, there are different areas of tourism and they're merging with real estate nowadays. There are two features to that. Aside from going from one place to another in a short period of time, it's also about living longer in a country, creating an alternative residence for the future, or maybe a second passport, or making use of the conditions of a second country, the climate conditions. And changing ideas in our own world. So real estate too, with the support of countries, means citizenship, residential permit, or other opportunities. So it starts with green card, white paper, golden visa. So, and I think you're one of the groups that had an early warning sign about that. And education business. You worked on certain models for education. Is there anything that you want to do about that? You work in different areas of tourism, winter, summer. Galata Port, food and beverage sector. So you benefit from all of that. You bought a land in Western Asian region. I believe there will be an investment of thermal. There is the Erzurum investment. I hope this is not confidential. I'm sharing all of this. Well, first of all, thank you very much. There are great designers in this session. It's a huge source of pleasure. Well, perhaps I can talk about Bilgili Group, and we work together, right, with all of you. Yeah, you know very well, but for those who don't know, it might be a brief reminder. We have a past of 40 years in Bilgili Group. We are in the real estate sector. Our founder passed away 2 years ago, and the whole Bilgili family had this long-lasting effort and struggle, and now both in Turkey and abroad, we have very important projects in place. And in doing that, we try to bring added value. We really care about design, and we value designers. And you know this because we collaborated in a lot of work. So what really matters for us is the transformation of cultural heritage, like in the Akaretler example, or Soho House, the past American embassy. You see it on this screen. So we find this meaningful transformation. Are you happy? Yes, we are, because we create added value. That's why we're happy. We enjoy our work. And most importantly, we experience this process with our designer. It may be exhausting. Who is your favorite designer? Mimar Sinan, architect Sinan. I'll go back to history. Very good response. Well, coming back to your question, right now in New York, 2 years ago we lost a very important architect, Uruguay. We have transformed the building of Rafael. It was the last project of Rafael Vinoli in New York that was transformed. So we have these iconic venues. We value design. We want to bring added value. So those are the kinds of projects that we're in. Our interaction with tourism is also in place. We have a membership organization with Soho House. So it's the hospitality sector, F&B sector, and it's also a community hub. It's a different concept for Turkey. So for education as well, we have the Republic Academy. Maybe by coincidence, the architect is Gökhan Avcıoğlu, and the interior design is by Autoban. So in several areas, as Bilgili Holding, we try to add further value. What's your thought for the future? What are your secrets? Well, one of our secrets is on the screen. We don't have secrets. We're a very transparent company. So we try to share everything with everyone. In Erzurum, there is this 2 million square meter area. We're building a winter ski center. And there are 20 hotels, 200 chalets, and 25,000 and 75,000 square meter congress center. So it is something that can spread to 12 months. Congress tourism, sports tourism, and healthcare tourism. So it's what the previous panelists touched upon. So it's a very special project. So it started with a master plan, right? Yes, there is a huge master plan. We completed the master plan, but first we discuss the design as a group. If we are sure about the design, You know, Serdar Bilgili is the head of our board. He is also very much part of the design. Isn't he an architect himself? There are architects in the family. Yes, we're part of a design adventure. So it's a long-lasting project starting in Erzurum, and we hope that it's going to be a different category for our country. It's $1.2 billion added value for that region. It's like Zermatt in Switzerland. Yeah, it's a huge project. It's larger than several projects in Europe. I don't want to take a lot of time.
Ege'de var mı Ege'de?
Ege'de de çok güzel projemiz var. Kuzey Ege'de şu anda büyük bir tasarımımız var. Çok değerli bir çalışma orada. Kuzey Ege'de özellikle
We have a project in northern region, Aegean region project. We have a longevity spa.
Çok teşekkürler. Sıraları nasıl? Şimdi biraz karıştı, onun için sorulur. Kim var sırada?
Who is next?
Hayır. Sizdeydi sınav söylüyor. Tamam. Peki. Kaan Bey'le başlayalım.
Kaan Bey.
Kaan Bey hoş geldiniz. Siz de uzun bir zamandan beri kalem oynatıyorsunuz bu konularda. Hem de yani siz yatırımcı kiminiz?
Who is your favorite investor?
Genelde konaklama projeleri üzerinde
Generally, you work on hospitality projects. What's in store for the future? What do you expect?
kurduğunuzu düşündüğünüz yatırımcılarla
And
ve uygulamalarla örnek olarak gösterebileceğiniz neler var?
what examples can you share with us with the best investors? Because this is a nice meeting opportunity. We don't have the chance to have this kind of discussion all the time. So it's important to leverage on each other's experience, particularly the topic of design. Levent Bey put it really nicely a moment ago. In fact, he said something very radical. He talked about starting from the reverse. You don't invite the designer at the last phase. You first start out with the design. That's the kind of strategy you follow. This is valuable example. So
Çalışma sistemimize etki yapan özellikleri olan şeyler ne oldu?
what are some similar examples? First of all, thank you for your question. How do we communicate with the investor? I'll start with that. For a very long time, we have a marketing-oriented design motto. If we're talking about hospitality, aside from a space design, there needs to be a monetary investment. This is an investment. We have to first understand this. And we have our talents, that is design, and we use it as a marketing instrument. So we'll build this kind of communication with the investors.
Peki bu tasarımı pazarlama enstrümanı olarak nasıl kullanabiliriz?
So how can we use design as a marketing instrument? Of course, the first phase of marketing is the needs and wants of the target audience. That's what we need to look at. And we've been observing for a long time that those who have their own branding, their own story, have their own customer experience based on that story. There is this kind of a hospitality product, and that is preferred more compared to the core brands. And there is evidence behind that. Core brands launched their collection brands to capture this opportunity. And they launched it as alternative brands, and they're going at full speed. So the collection brands are moving really fast compared to the core brands. So This is about the user identification. First, you have to identify the user. And when you identify the user,
Eğer adını değiştirip branding yapmasak bile
even if you don't change the name to branding,
hikaye de bir
the story behind the design
markalarına yaklaşımıyla yapılandırırsak eğer
can be structured with a branding understanding, and you can build design on top of that. And when that is the case, you serve the investors. That's how we serve the investors, in my opinion. So there is this product, you have to first find the story. And when you find the story, if it's a building, it may be about its history. It may be a local narrative, it could be a cultural heritage, or it may be none of this. Maybe the investor or the facility wants to convey a message, a particular message. So there may be a story built around that. After identifying the story is important. It has to be compatible with the hotel approach, and you have to reflect this in your design, in the architecture. It should be this kind of story when you choose it. After you identify the story is equal to the brand. So if you structure it with a marketing approach, there has to be the guest analysis to begin with, and then a competitor analysis, and a brand architecture that is target oriented. So the competition analysis, and then if this brand were a woman, what kind of a woman would it be? You ask these questions. Let's not go into those dangerous areas. Yeah, but it gets attention. It- Why do we work with some brands? They have to do their homework. They have manuals, previous guides, environmental analysis, investment analysis, competition analysis. They must have conducted these. So do you do it over again? How does it work? Do you disregard those analyses, or why do you need to do this? Is there a gap? I understand it very well. There are two things. So, what's the main motivation behind doing this kind of work? Well, there are two things. I talked about collection hotels because every brand has their own design guide. Yeah, they have their, special points. So, why do you do this? Well, I talked about hotels that are thematic. They have their own stories. Core brands launched the collection hotels like Luxury Collection, Autograph, Tribute. They're going at full speed. So what is it about these collection hotels? They are the collection hotels of those hotels who already have their own story and their own branding. So when we place a story behind a design, we actually do a marketing-oriented design. We use design as a marketing instrument, so that is our methodology. And this methodology has two advantages. When you paste this on top, you paste this design on top of a story. They don't question it. There is a reference, a story, whether you like it or not. And if the story fits with these marketing elements, it serves the marketing. And this is more sustainable. It's out-fashioned much later, if any at all. So it has a reference behind it.
But with every product, when we start with a different story, we come up with very different designs. Some could take you to Belle Epoque in the 1930s. One could go to 3000 BC. One, you start with the motif on a carpet or some meaning of some shape on a stone. So basically, this is giving you an amazing diversification between designs. And I think of this as a branding methodology. But even if we don't change the name, the story behind the design can be structured as a story itself. And then this supports marketing. And at the end of this, let's say there's a very nice logo, name, and space. But then in the operational processes, we also need to focus on the behavioral approach to the customer experience. And we discuss and try to protect this with hoteliers and their consultants. And then it turns into a hospitality product, a well-designed building, but not just that, a well-designed hospitality product. And it can continue to live like that.
Orhan Narin. Size dönüyorum Seyhan Hanım. Bu
I will turn to you, Ms. Seyhan. Now, you created quite a popular brand as Autoban. And I remember years ago, you started off with a cafe design. I mean, at least the one that was known by communities. And you designed everything from the logo to the chair to the tables. And I'm sure this must have had a very important experience for you and some sort of habit. And I'm sure after that you didn't really give up on that habit, even if the spaces grew bigger. Why did you pursue this route? First of all, thank you once again. It's very nice to be here with all of you. Well, the years you talk about was when I was 27. Yes, you were small too at the time. So this is an output of a holistic design approach. A venue or a structure, when you design it, I mean, as architects, we are designing the life there. We are designing the experience they are living today and they will live in the future with a 360 approach. So when you start with a cafe, yes, you talked about a story, more like a scenario, really. So it's about the user experience, or sometimes we even perceive it as a human being. So basically, it's the design of the character. And it's just like us, where we were born and raised, and the experiences we had, just the way this all impacts our character. It's the same case for venues. So this entire process, we refer to it as a 360 design. And I'm an architect, and I am one of the founding partners of Autoban, together with Zafer Çalar. And despite scale, we always had a 360 approach. We design an identity, really, and it's all part of that. So that famous venue that you talk about, I mean, our journey started there, and those were venues that created the vibe of Istanbul, from terminals to airports, and hospitality is part of it as well. We had a lot of international scale projects as well. But we have a very detail-oriented approach to our work, and it does make it challenging, but that is what creates our fingerprint. Really. And you also make the investor work. You give homework to the investors too. Well, this is something that you create together, really. It's co-creation. Of course, we work in different sectors, but they're all commercial projects, as the other speakers also mentioned. And the investor, of course, needs to be happy. But first, we need to be happy. Then the investor is happy anyway. And then that makes the users happy. So it is all about the result, really. And it's a collaborative work that we do. And yes, it starts with the investor. If there's an operator, the operator, our contribution, and the user output, and basically many different disciplines on that journey working together in harmony. But everyone has one common goal, and this entire journey is to reach that goal all together. And the critical point is to be able to work harmoniously. And it's like finding the right partner for yourself, right? And it's very important as a success factor. So could you talk about some breaking points for you, like some projects that were like breaking points? For example, Esma Sultan was a turning point for me, yes, and we all like it very much. Thanks. It was the first time we went beyond the concept of restoration, and we created a new space within an old space. It was used like that. They had fashion shows and parties and things, and we didn't want to lose that notion. And with Oğuz Gürsel, we had great harmony, yes, may he rest in peace. But in terms of structural style, keeping the outer shell, and, you know, the double skin, basically, having two facades, that was a turning point for me. And then Marel Ortaköy, another project, we worked together there for the first time. The roofs, and it worked very well during the pandemic. We talked with Şerife as well. We sold it a little cheap at the beginning. We're still sad about that. If we had kept it a little longer. So things like that, really. Yeah, Esma Sultan and House Cafe as well. It was an innovation in Istanbul for us. And all the parts and pieces are still there. You designed it very much in detail. And I actually stole a table and a chair that I still keep at home. Well, we had certain periods. In the first 10 years, we were building or designing the buildings that created the social life of that time in Istanbul. And we worked with great investors, because this is something you really need to do together with someone, because you can have great ideas, but you can't just copy and paste it. You need to be with someone who really embraces that. And if you have such investors, then you get to a very good point. So in those first 10 years, we did everything that we needed. Istanbul gained a brand new notion of cafes, restaurants, movie theaters, stores, even supermarkets we worked on. And still, when we go to our favorite place, I mean, when we go somewhere as a user, not a place that we designed specifically, I mean, House Cafe, Kitchenette, Angelique, all of those internationally acclaimed venues of Istanbul, Makro, Komşu Fırın, movie theaters, shopping malls. So it was very enjoyable. And after the first decade, Hong Kong, Madrid, our international projects began. So those were our turning points. And then Atatürk Airport, there was a venue that you all loved very much, the CIP Lounge. And it was selected the best lounge 7 years in a row. And that's how we stepped into aviation. And of course, that's another concept of hospitality. And they all intersect really. And it was the international face of Turkish Airlines in aviations. And then we had the collaboration with Doko, and we really got into the kitchen of the things. And then we had the Baku airport. And generally, it is an architectural zone that is technical, so you have interior and exterior architecture done by the same team. But we took the full scope interior design of it. And these are important venues because they are like hallmarks for a country, and they are important entrance points into a country. So we really enjoyed that as well and yielded very good results. The Galata Port Cruise Terminal, the first underground terminal, really. And this is a very different target group. But again, it's all about hospitality. And then we had the Far East project. That's a turning point. We went to the Maldives. We migrated there. I mean, we didn't migrate. Our office is here, but we did work a lot in that zone. And there, of course, we worked on untouched lands, building life on islands. And you basically, we're all architects, and we all have these types of projects, but we all leave different marks on our projects. And for us, I mean, both commercially, we need to be successful, yes, but we also want to be able to leave that unique mark with all these different clients and these different projects. So you are an architecture, but you are also very much involved with the internal operations. Well, not really, but holistic approach, I guess. Yeah, that's what we feel. But in general, in architectural studies, or the way architecture is perceived, the relationships with architects and objects seem a little weak. You know, they usually focus on the general image, the master, but I think focusing on the inside is really important. I really like going from external to interior or vice versa as well. So your contributions to this is generating a lot of curiosity for us. I don't know how we're doing in terms of time. We're up. Oh, okay, then I should continue. Let me say this, in some geographies, there isn't a very clear border between internal and external. I mean, the indoor-outdoor, Ukraine, for example, the climate is obvious, so the indoor and outdoor need to be able to speak to one another. So in such geographies, you do need to work with that concept. Interior and exterior design, yeah, they do go hand in hand. There are two things I obsess over. I don't know who found the name civil engineer. I mean, in Turkish they call it construction engineering, and that doesn't make sense. Civil engineering, you're engineering civilization basically. And for architecture, who came up with exterior and interior? Because, I mean, it just doesn't make sense, really. So let's not call it interior architect from now on. It's an architect in the end. Exterior is more has more expertise on exterior, and interior has more expertise in interior. But I mean, it's all the same thing. Thank you very much for sparing your time.
Bir an zannettim ki devam edeceksiniz.
Ederim.
Biz de dinleriz.
We thought you were going to continue more, and it was very pleasant. We would have loved listening to you. And Ms. Oya Narin, Hediye Güral Gür, Ms. Şerife, come up on stage, please.
Harika bir sohbet, harika.
Yes, a very nice conversation, a very nice panel. Find it hard to call it a panel sometimes because we are really hearing sincere talks, and it's very pleasant.